Hey girls, it's Bree.
It's Cece.
It's Angela.
And you're tuned into
For the Girls.
We have a very deep, kind of dark topic today.
A little complicated.
It's how to deal with a mother and with a mom and a sister
Of a man
who are narcissists and what was the other word that we used here? Possessive. They have possessive and narcissistic behaviors. And so we're going to give our girls some help. But before we do, let's go over today's review from Lots of Love 22. She says, finally a podcast that brings a positive light to Black relationships. I love all the vibes.
Yes, girl.
Thank you, girl.
Thank you.
You guys, these reviews mean so much to us. So definitely, if you have time, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube, leave a comment on your thoughts on the episode, but go over to the podcast and leave us a 5-star review if you can. Let's jump into this situation. Cece, are you going to be reading it?
Yes, you guys, I got this one. So our girl today would like to remain anonymous. Hi, ladies. I watch For the Girls YouTube show whenever a new video is uploaded, and I wanted to share my experience with my boyfriend's mother and sister. I have been with my boyfriend since 2019. Long story short, my boyfriend's mom and sister are narcissists. They never liked me or welcomed me into the family. One of the first times that I have gone over my boyfriend's parents' house, the mom made dinner for her husband, 3 children, and 2 sisters, but specifically told my boyfriend that there was no food for me. That's cold. I'm sorry, girl. That's cold. His mom never invites me to family gatherings for Christmas, Thanksgiving, or Easter, but she gets mad at him when he spends the holidays with my family, who is very supportive of our relationship. His mom and sister get mad when he buys me flowers or gifts, and they claim that he should be spoiling them and not me because they are family. They both are very jealous of how well my boyfriend treats me. I tried to have a great relationship with my boyfriend's mom and sister, but I decided that I refuse to go places where I am made to feel unwelcome. His mom has blatantly said that she doesn't need to respect me or support our relationship and takes zero accountability for all of the mean things she has said to me. I have not seen my boyfriend's family since November 2021, and I intend to keep it that way. My boyfriend and I plan on getting married and having children together. I made it clear to my boyfriend that I don't want his family at the wedding, and my boyfriend fully supports that. I also do not want my future children to meet my boyfriend's mother or sister. Damn. Sorry. My boyfriend is in agreement. I want to know your ladies' thoughts on not inviting in-laws to the wedding and keeping in-laws away from the children. My parents and sister believe the family should still come to our wedding and be in our kids' lives because they are still family. What are your thoughts?
This one is
Sis, this is deep.
complex. Yo, girl, I am sorry.
This is a lot,
That's
girl.
A. Sorry,
I'm
hon.
sorry. I'm
That's
sorry
a
that you have to
lot.
deal with this and that you have to kind of navigate unpacking this because it's a lot. And also it's just very unfortunate because I feel like when we're talking about like kids getting involved, I see the magic that comes from my daughter whenever she's around her grandparents, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so, you know, to kind of not give a child that opportunity, which rightfully, I understand where you're coming from. So I'm not saying like you're doing the wrong thing, but it sucks. It
This
sucks.
is really complicated, and just there's so many layers to it. So let's try to peel it apart, y'all. Okay, let's start first. She starts off by saying they're narcissists. So let's help the girls out. What is narcissism? So I remember back in high school in mythology class, the story of Narcissus. He was so enamored by his reflection. He was just like, oh my God, like I'm perfect in every way imaginable. And so I think that's how the disorder came to be called narcissism because of Narcissus from mythology. Anyways, sorry, history. basically,
I love me a good history reference.
so I mean, basically, it's a person who not necessarily is full of themselves, but requires a lot of self-admiration, a lot of compliments, wants to be the center of attention in any type of situation, wants to brag, and it can get really severe to the point where it affects relationships, all of them, familial, work, friend, love. It can really damage all of that if it's very severe. On top of, it's one of the hardest, from what I've kind of done my very slight research on. I'm not a psychologist or MD, so let me put that out there right now. But it's one of the most difficult disorders to work on or cure, because it's very hard to bring a narcissist to the table to admit that you have narcissism.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that's a pretty bold claim to put on mom and sis, that they're narcissists. So I guess where I'm going with that is, I saw that they feel like they should, get all the gifts, all the admiration from the son. So that's probably where she's going. I'm sure there's a lot more that we don't know about, because I'm like, whoo, how did you get narcissism out of that versus just, selfish mom and selfish sis. But wow, that's deep. I guess, whoo.
Have
I'm like, whoa, where do I attack this?
Have either of you had issues with your in-laws? And if you have, what, not going too deep, but what did that look like? And like, how have you either severed that relationship, or how have you worked through that?
Well, thankfully, my relationship with my husband's mother is awesome. We haven't had any issues outside of some small disagreements here and there that we all did our best to try to communicate through. I would say the biggest thing was that, I was confiding in my husband's mother for everything. And the reason I did that is because I felt like, if I was going to talk bad about my husband, it was going to be the one person who loved him unconditionally.
Sure.
So
I can understand that.
Yes. So, that was very like early on dating. And so I share this with all you guys to be transparent. So hopefully this will help. My husband did not like that. He did not like it, but he just kind of let it, flow. He wanted us to have a good relationship. When we got married, though, he was like, this has to stop, because, my mom's getting mad at me. You're mad at me. I don't know what's being said behind my back. And on top of all of it, all issues that me and Sean have, need to stay between me and you. And that's when I was like, okay, you are absolutely correct. So I did. I communicated that to her, like, your son, my husband, has asked me to stop sharing information about himself that he has not shared himself. When it came down to like jobs and finances, things with his son, me and him, if he had not shared it or shared his thoughts on the matter, I have now learned to, let Sean do that. If he doesn't want to, that's his choice. That's his prerogative. And that was really difficult because, a lot of our conversations were that. So we've had to find a different way to, communicate, which it's still awesome. But out of respect for my husband and just out of respect for our relationship, all issues should stay between you and your husband. So that was probably the main issue, but nothing like she felt like he needed, she should have been receiving all the gifts he was giving me, all the attention he was giving me. It was never that.
Or like, I don't need to respect you. Like
that's wild.
That's wild.
And then there was, I want to bring this up at Rachel and Jeremy's wedding. Shout out to Rachel and Jeremy. Jeremy's mom said something really simple at the end of her speech. She was like, I'm ready to let you go now. And I was like, oh.
It was so sweet.
I looked at Rachel, I was like,
yeah.
So it's like that. I'm not a mother of a boy, so I cannot lend advice to this. I'm pretty sure that's very difficult for all moms of boys, of sons. However, it has to be done.
Absolutely.
It has to be done.
Listen, we talked about mama boys in a previous episode. Okay.
So yeah, what about you guys? Any issues with in-laws? I know we all have really good relationship with our in-laws, but
I have never had any issues with my in-laws personally.
Well, first of all, Shane's parents are lit.
They are lit.
Like Cece.
They are lit. You know what? Shout out Miss Deborah Costin, because I know she's gonna see this. I love you, Miss Deborah.
They're such a good time.
I love them. So no, I don't have any relationship. Actually, it's funny. Me and my mother-in-law call each other very frequently to give like life updates.
Yes, I love it.
Like I am very, very close with Miss Deborah. I've never had any issues with her. However, I will say that I have heard stories about Shane's ex right before me. That was a different story. So nobody in Shane's family liked her. But from my understanding, it was because of her attitude and how she was not respectful in Miss Deborah's house. Like she, you know, when I think that when you're coming to your significant other's parents' house, you need to respect and abide by their rules, okay? Because at the end of the day, they are welcoming you into their house. So if they have certain traditions that they do in their family around the holidays, be respectful and go along with it. It's just, I mean, it's that simple. Apparently, his ex was like not really feeling some of the things and like had an attitude about it, was vocal about it, was disrespectful about it. And that caused a lot of tension between his ex and his family. And so after the holidays, like after this specific incident, I think it was like maybe a Christmas one year, like she never came around again. And that relationship was completely severed between Shane's mother and this chick because she really put a bad taste. And honestly, they weren't meant to be together, obviously, because he's my man now. But they weren't even meant to be together, and their relationship was already kind of on the rocks. Like they were together longer than they should have been, you know, out of comfort.
Right.
So while I have not had that relationship, that type of dynamic with my in-laws, I have heard stories about how the woman before me had a different dynamic, and the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's hard with this scenario is, you know, we know what you wrote in, but we don't know all the things. And so I think my question to you, and this would totally be anonymous and you can let us know later, is have you done anything or has he expressed or communicated anything that you've done maybe before they met you that created a narrative in their mind that wouldn't support the relationship? Because that's super odd to me that somebody would be that hateful. And I'm going to answer the question to the in-law thing, but I definitely want to make sure that we touch on the issue of whether or not they're in support of them like getting married and having kids, because if they're not, then I don't understand why they would need to be at the wedding in the first place or why it's even a topic of discussion, but we'll get to that. It sounds like it's because of the family, her family, that's like, oh, they should still be invited. But I've never had issues with Dre's parents. The thing that we've had is a difference in lifestyle, and I've been able to openly communicate with them from the very, very beginning when we met. I was very honest about my journey with like God. Like I'd let them know like I didn't believe in God at a time because I didn't know how to, or I wasn't taught to, and it was all confusing to me, and I'm a very logical person. God is kind of like magic, right? It's like you can't explain the belief. You just have to choose to believe, because otherwise that's not what faith is. So same thing with the magic. It's like if you make something disappear, I need to logically see it disappear to know that you actually made it disappear and it's not just like a fabrication. So I was able to like be honest with that, honest with like, you know, my arrests, my past, when I, you know, got arrested and charged with a felony, when I had the DUI, like they knew about my drunken situations where like I would use alcohol as like a way to deal with like life things. So I feel that, you know, no matter who your in-laws are, if you're just your true authentic self while still being respectful to the differences in lifestyle, that you should be able to have a healthy relationship with your in-law. But if the in-law is not willing to do the same, then I've never dealt with that. I've never dealt with being with someone whose parents did not absolutely adore me. But I know that when I was always around, or when they would see me and look at how I live and how I speak and how I am, they saw value in the type of woman that I was. So I guess I'm worried about, like, what do we not know that maybe they know that is contributing to their thoughts and lack of support. Yeah. And so if you could let us know more details. The thing that, you know, I saw is that he's in agreement that they shouldn't be involved. So now that we kind of talked about, you know, like our in-laws, the thing that I wanted to touch on here we are. The thing I wanted to touch on is with how to deal with them, because I know that even though we may not have had certain issues, we can give advice on, like, I guess, how to still deal with them. So my first tip or advice would be, before making any decisions, I would open it up for one conversation, like allow a conversation to be had where, you know, if they're not good at communicating in person, maybe write them a letter, and that, like, the son can give to them, that is really well written, and that just says, like, out of respect and love for your son, I would like to see if we could mend this relationship, because we're thinking about a future together. We want children, and I would love for my kids to know you and to have their auntie in their life. And I want to figure out, like, what is the problem that you guys have with me, and can that be resolved? I'm willing to put my pride aside, to put past things that happened aside, and to have a fresh start, a clean slate, and just see if we can move forward as a family. And then if that doesn't work, then we can talk about other options. But that would be my advice.
I was going to say something along those lines, like, before, and I know we always talk about, like, just because they're blood doesn't mean they get, you know, access to you and all this, that, and the third, but this is sticky. Like, this is real sticky. And again, to Bree's point, we don't know how it got this sticky. I really hope you didn't just walk in and she just didn't make you dinner. Like, that's wild.
That's kind of wild.
That's wild. Like,
or I mean, did she know that you were coming? Like, that's another thing too.
So that's what I'm gonna get. That's my two pieces of my advice. My first piece of advice is it, and this is what I've learned in my experience being with a man who had a son before me. Like, he had his own little family, which is his kid, before me. And something that I had to learn really early on is I cannot control this. It's him. It's 100% him. And I'm assuming, I think there's some holes here that we're missing, but I'm assuming that you've had this conversation with him. Primarily because it is his lead, because it's his family. Your family's completely supportive. It is his job to make this work. And what I mean by that is he needs to, if you've talked to him and you've had this foundational conversation, because this, again, family dynamics is a foundational conversation, something that happens early, which I'm assuming you have, because you guys are at the point of talking about marriage now. So if you had this foundational conversation, then what I'm saying is maybe you need to go back and revisit that, because he needs to set this up for that conversation to happen. And not only just set it up, he needs to protect you. You can't protect yourself. He has to protect you. He has to let his mother and sister know that y'all can't be talking to my future wife any kind of way. That is disrespectful. And no matter how much I love you, you gave me life, you're my sister, I grew up with you, like, you are going to have to respect her, because if you love me, you're gonna love her. She's my family. And that's, I know it's two different situations, but it's the same thing with my husband and his son. Like, you're going to have to let me control this, Angela, and you're gonna have to chill out and trust that I'm gonna control this. If you are going to marry me, you're gonna have to trust that I can lead this in the right way. So that's my first number one advice. If you've done that and you're at this point of this conversation and you're uncomfortable having the conversation, like, at the house, no mediator, I suggest a family therapist, 100%. A family therapist as a neutral party, a neutral mediator in this, so that all sides can be heard, so that there is at least an effort to make sure that the family dynamic is somewhat intact, before we completely say you're not coming to the wedding and, you know, you're not going to be around my kids. Because at the end of the day, this is your child's grandmother. This is your child's aunt. It sounds like they're not, you know, they haven't been separated at any point in life because you guys are going over their house for dinners and stuff. So, yeah, there has to be at least an effort, a try. Now, if mom and sis ain't with it and you did what you could, I'm gonna go to that part, the petty part. Like, I don't even know if it's petty. I think it's more of like,
I mean, there's no other option.
There's no other option.
Point.
You know,
like,
like,
it's a protection.
You got, if he's agreed to protect you and he's trying to protect you, and mom and sis are still throwing their daggers at you, you gotta protect yourself and your children as well. Because that makes me think, if mom is willing to let you come in her house, make everybody food. I'm really stuck on this. Make everybody food except for you. Imagine if sister has babies and you have babies.
Oh, she ain't gonna cook for your babies.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that, child.
Imagine the trauma that your poor children would have.
That's deep.
So at that point, if you're protecting your children.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. You know, leaving them out the wedding, leaving them out your kid's life, if you've done everything that Brie and I just said to get to that point. So,
yeah. I mean, well, shit, you guys like articulate that very well. You laid it out flat. So, sis, do that. No, but also, I am a firm believer that your man is the leader of your household, of your relationship. He needs to be the Trojan horse. He needs to be your guiding factor, right? Yeah. So in that, especially because this is his mother and his sister, I love the idea, Brie, that you mentioned about writing a letter. And maybe you preface a conversation with a letter so that they can have some expectation prior to having a conversation. But a conversation does need to be had. Now, I don't think that it should be you, speaking to our lovely anonymous who wrote in, that should be kind of initiating the conversation. I actually think it should be your man that initiates the conversation and is that mediator in the conversation. He needs to be the one to set the precedence of this conversation and state to his mother and his sister, look, this is where I am in my life. This is what I want my life to look like, and I want her to be a part of it. I fully intend on asking her to marry me. I fully intend on us starting a family together. So if you love and support me as your brother, as your son, this is what I need from you. So this is what I need you to do differently to support me as your son and your brother going forward with my relationship with her, period. That needs to be the precedence of this conversation. And then the conversation can flow. The woman needs to give clear examples of moments where she felt like she was disrespected and not welcomed into the family or into that whatever the situation may have been at that time. And then the mother and the sister should be able to give examples of why they feel like they don't have to respect her. Like, there needs to be some clear communication and understanding of why is everyone acting like this?
Right. I'm just really confused about that dinner.
You know what I'm saying?
Bothering me.
But at the end of the day, this is his responsibility. He is the man. He needs to take charge. This is his family. So if he loves you and you guys have that supportive relationship, then he should understand that he needs to move this forward. And in that conversation, if there is no resolution, then you guys can come to the agreement of, okay, this is what we are going to do for us and our happiness and our peace and our family. And that may look like XYZ. They're not coming to the wedding. Our children won't have a relationship with them, et cetera, because this is why.
Yeah, I truly believe, like, in this situation, you're not really asking him to choose between you and his family, because
He's on board.
That's what I'm saying. This is like a true test of if this man can be your husband and lead your family. Can he protect you? Can he protect you not just from your family, but other forces that are out there trying to break your relationship apart? And this is like the number one test. Like, apply pressure to this man, sis, if you haven't already.
Yeah.
Now, if you have, and we've gotten to this point, and mom and sis still cannot see why they're wrong or cannot articulate to you why they feel like they have a reason to disrespect you, yeah, they're probably narcissists at this point. So I might agree with you with that.
And then you just wipe your hands with them and move on with your life, you know?
Yeah.
Because there's nothing you can do with anybody at that point.
I'm cutthroat when it comes to family. I don't feel like blood makes you family. I feel like relationship makes you family. And even though you guys might be missing out on a mother, a sister, and a grandmother and an auntie, there are going to be friends in your life who will take a position of an auntie. There are going to be her parents. Sounds like her family's very supportive. There's a lot of kids who grow up like I don't have any grandparents, like, and I did when I was younger, but I wouldn't say that if I didn't have them, my life would be, any less of a good life. So I wouldn't look at, but it would be nice, or our family wants us to invite. Forget the family thing. Like, if someone's going to come to your wedding and not be respectful, not be supportive, not be in celebration of your love, heck no, they're not coming. And it shouldn't even be a thought of whether or not they should come. But I do think that the son, like Cece said, should take that initiative. But the reason why I think a letter would be good is because I don't think it will go well if the son gives his piece and says, this is how I feel. And then, like, now I'm going to put you guys together and you're going to have a conversation. Because then the mother and the sister, might feel like the woman is being forced to do this, but that she doesn't really, it's only for the son. And so if they don't sit down with the situation, having a thought in their mind that this is something that she wants because of the love for, their son and brother, then I don't think that they'll be in the right headspace to receive and to have like a healthy conversation. So I think those two things combined, if they don't get on board after that, after a nice written, thoughtful letter is given, after the son has given his piece, like, if they still can't sit down and like come to some sort of understanding, then sorry, y'all not coming, and y'all not gonna see our babies, and you ain't never gonna have the chance to not feed me again.
That's what I'm saying. Like, y'all, that dinner is really rubbing me the
Like,
wrong
that-
way.
And also, I have a question. So, like, and this is like a question for her. So hopefully she can follow up with this. But just for discussion's sake, so say they get married and mom and sis aren't invited to the wedding and they have no interaction with these kids. Is he also like disowning his mother and his sister?
Yes, because you're a unit now.
Exactly.
It's not you go over and hang out with mom every now and then and we all stay at the house. No, you two are a unit. Like, we've severed ties completely at this point.
Well, I mean, that needs to be clearly communicated. And if it's not, and he still wants to have a relationship with his mother and his sister, how does that start to affect your relationship now? Because then now
you don't want him resenting her.
Right, you're causing resentment to him. Like, well, you said da-da-da, but you're doing the opposite. I told you we didn't want mom or your mother in our lives, and you're still going out. Like, how does this go?
We got the red flags out.
That's a red flag. That's a red flag.
Elaborate on your red flags.
Is like, so say they go through this course, they try to have the conversation, it doesn't work, they tried therapy, it doesn't work. You did all the things, y'all did all the things, sis, and he put pressure on his family to understand that you are now family as well. All that, and it still didn't work. Like, he should feel offended that they didn't love him that much to accept the thing that the one thing that he wanted in his life. I would be pissed. Like, and then that goes back to what Bree says. I don't care if we're blood. I don't care. That's toxic.
Yeah,
that's toxic. That's stressful. Like,
I love a good cutoff.
You know what I'm saying? You gonna I'm going to be over there visiting mom and sis every now and then, but I'm going to leave you home with the babies because you can't come over because you're cut out the life, but I'm not. No, you're a unit. It's both of you.
Right.
Both of you go to Thanksgiving together.
Yeah.
Both of you choose which Christmas you're going to. Both of you choose the godparents. Both of you choose where birthdays are going to be and how that's going to rock out. I'm not saying that you got to take into consideration maybe some drama issues, some dynamics that could cause something to happen at one of these events. Yeah, you should take that into consideration, but it should never be, well, because you don't mess with mom and sis and they don't mess with you, I'm gonna go visit them while you stay over here. No. That means you secretly, deep down inside, you wanted everyone to be together. You just still can't figure it out, sir. So I blame that on hubby. I blame that one on hubby. Like, if he's
you hear that, hubby? That is your duty.
That's your duty. Like, no,
Boyfriend.
Boyfriend, yeah, exactly.
Boyfriend,
because
future hubby.
This is your family now.
That may also be one of the issues, is because they're only boyfriend and girlfriend. They might be like, this ain't a forever thing because they're not engaged. So it might, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Maybe some more effort would be given if they know that she's not going anywhere.
Because also we don't have any context of this man's history of the type of chicks he used to bring around.
Yeah.
So maybe like mom and sis are just like traumatized by like previous
they're, like,
women
to react.
Right. So so I'm telling you, this is on Mr. Boyfriend.
Yeah, I don't think it's her responsibility.
Like, this is,
I really don't, because it's his family, and then her family is supportive, and I kind of felt her when she was saying that the family kept saying, you know, they should be invited to the wedding because they're family. Like, I kind of felt her on that, because for our wedding, and it's totally different. My husband, you know, there was some family dynamics with his father that, you know, it caused the father not to be invited to our wedding. And so my family kept asking, like, he needs to be there, that's his dad. But you don't understand the dynamics, mommy and daddy, to my parents is what I said. You don't understand the dynamics, like, because at the end of the day, it was Sean marrying Angela. So it was Sean's choice on how he wanted his family, or who he wanted to be at his wedding, or how he wants his family to be going forward. You know, and of course and if you ever listen to Sean talk or kind of follow his journey, he's coming to, which took years, he's coming to a path in his life where he's trying to form a relationship with his father. But he wasn't in that space then, you know? But every time he tries to talk to his dad, it's, me and Angela are this. Me and Angela would like to meet up with you so you can meet Alina. Me and Angela, it's never like, I'm going to come over there while my wife and daughter stay over here. Because this joint messy, you know? So, and then even till this day, my parents still will ask him about that dynamic. And, you know, because they don't understand. So I say all that to say that, you know, I feel like sis who wrote in is feeling pressure from her family to make sure that his family is there. You gotta tell your family you don't understand. Like, this is you, and this is him at the end of the day. You know, family's very, very important. But again, just like Bree said, just because you're blood.
Maybe her mom wants the boy's mom to come so she could tell about herself, because I'll be like, they need to be there, pull in the corner, like, let me tell you something, if you ever not feed my baby again,
that would be me.
It's not good.
You lost your mind. You didn't feed my child. I would be, y'all, that dinner really rubs me the wrong way. I had to read over that a few times when y'all were talking.
I hope he gave his plate to her. That would be the only thing that like made sense. Like, just to show, like, how, like, respectful.
I mean, whatever he's currently doing in relation to I would say whatever he's currently doing is obviously good enough for her, because she still wants to be with this man. She still wants to marry him and have his children. And I think that maybe him just saying, like, I'm cool with kind of like cutting them out.
It seems like he's tried. And that he even sees, like, nope, there's no like fixing this. So I don't know. And to you who wrote in, what all of these questions and things that we're saying is, we want to be able to give you the best advice, but it's hard to do that if we don't know the full circle. So we're not making assumptions that your man hasn't been doing things. It's just if he hasn't, then this advice would be helpful. But yeah, definitely like write in and give us a little bit more details so that we could follow up. But I think ultimately, with anyone out there who deals with difficult in-laws, I think you have to work hard to find relatableness and respect. And what I mean by that is the only reason why you wouldn't get along with in-laws is because of the differences in lifestyle, differences in maybe what they were expecting their child to be with. And so if, your in-laws are lit, like Shane's parents, it's like, why would Cece have any issue with them? They're literally just like her. Like they're the same. They have a good time when they're together. They have good conversations. They're in relatableness to her life. But if they did not relate, there would still be a level of respect. And if you don't have either or a little bit of both, it's never going to work. So you have to work hard on that. Like I know with Dre's parents, they're ministers. They love talking about God. They love church. They love things that are all about, being faithful and fellowshipping. And so a lot of our conversations or even like exchanges, like text messages and things are when they send us sermons or when they send us a quick prayer or let us know that they're thinking about us. We don't go grab drinks with his parents. We don't hang out at the bars or have parties or anything like that. But that's because that's not relatable to them. And we respect that. So I think you always have to try to figure out a good level of respect and relatableness. And if you do that, you should be able to have a good, healthy relationship with your in-laws.
Amen, Bree.
Yeah. And just to like piggyback on that, your in-laws, like it's your person's job to lead that. Like when it comes to my family, I'm not going to expect Sean to have certain conversations about me and what he wants me to do, like that or us. That's my job, and vice versa. Anything with his family, he takes charge. So we bring it back to this. My biggest question in this scenario is, what has he done? That's my biggest question. And if he hasn't,
or what have you done?
That's Bree's biggest question. She's like, there has to be something.
She's keeping it out? Like, I came into the relationship when they first met me. I showed up and I was drunk, and I was like, I had sex with him in their house. Like, I mean, like we don't know what happened. Like,
but what if nothing happened? What if she walked in and she just didn't have no plate for her?
Then mama can't come to the wedding.
Too, but I'm not gonna lie, I kind of hope it's Bree's.
Because then it would make a little sense.
I know, right?
It would. Because
like, what did you do, girl?
Juicy.
What did you do?
Yes. So, but yeah.
And then again, it could be that the commitment thing, because you guys are just boyfriend and girlfriend. Maybe that's why they're like, we don't need to respect her.
They have a
girl, So
they don't have respect for your union.
You as his wife. As his potential wife, that could be a reason too. He could propose and then maybe they'd have a different outlook and would feel obligated to then make some changes because now they know, okay, he's committing to this person and this is a lifelong person, not just a for now person.
I mean, bringing that like back to them just dating, and like we've had this conversation many times before, foundational conversations about your family dynamics. Like all of this aside, like, sis, do you want to deal with this for the rest of your life? Like you at this point, it's a foundational thing. Like you know what it is now. So now you're making the choice. So you know what it is. Like it, so, and it sucks because it seems like he's an amazing guy too, but
allegedly. No, I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Allegedly.
But I mean, they don't seem like they're engaged yet. So you're still in the foundational part.
You are. Yeah, good job.
Yeah. So there you go. But good luck, honey, because that one is
it's a doozy.
Tough. But if it is exactly what you said, I think the best thing is to start with Bree's advice. Write a letter. If that one, it's not working in the way you want, try a family therapist. You know, they went to school for
DM
this.
me also for a therapist. She does individual, she does couples and family therapy, and she's amazing.
It's
so
good because then maybe the therapist can say, "Oh yeah, they're actually narcissists, honey.
Yeah. Well,
Run." So yeah,
I hope it works out.
Yeah, I really wanna know.
Or doesn't. I don't know. But I hope that you find whatever solution that you're looking for that's going to bring you and your future family peace.
yes.
Yes.
All right. Well,
on that note,
hopefully we
if
helped her.
you guys want to get advice, share your story, share your experience, make sure to go to relationshiprestored.com, click on For the Girls, and fill out the form, help a girl out. Make sure you guys give us detailed information also, just so that the holes and gaps are filled and we know how to best like advise. But make sure you guys go to the podcast, leave a review. You could be featured, list your Instagram so you can get a little shout out, all of that stuff. Follow us on the gram at Relationship Restored, at Cece Costin, at Angela Hanna, and at Brianna Aponte. And until next time.
See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye, girls.